Franco Colapinto replaces Logan Sargent mid-season, scores more points in 5 races than Logan did in 36, and as we're led to believe, leaves at the end of the season and refuses to elaborate. This absolute Chad came from nowhere and has nearly ruined Williams Racing's plans. So what is going on with Franco Colapinto? First of all, this guy did literally come from absolutely nowhere and get an F1 seat. If you take it back to the mid-season, he's not even a driver in contention for a Formula 1 seat. Never mind even be mentioned or talked about anywhere else. I think most people probably weren't even aware that Colapinto was in Williams Driver Academy. Before his entry into F1, he'd seen 1 win in Formula 2 and a couple podiums here and there, but nothing absolutely spectacular like the other drivers who were getting hyped up, such as Kimi Antonelli or Ollie Behrman. In fact, the last championship Colapinto had won, and the only championship he'd won since his karting days, was the Spanish Formula 4 championship. Since then, apart from a few wins scattered across F3 and other series, it's been relatively quiet from Colapinto. But maybe that is a testament to how poor these spec series are performing. Maybe they aren't showing us the right talent at the front of the grid. You've got to remember, so much of these spec series comes down to who's got the biggest pockets, who ends up signing with top teams like Prix, and not completely down to just driving skill like we'd like to imagine it is. Anyway, mid-season, Franco Colapinto gets the call up to F1, and let's just say the expectations for Colapinto, they weren't exactly high. Most people were relatively confused. Why would you replace someone who's at least had a season in F1, seems to maybe be getting to grips with not crashing, with a complete brand new rookie who's unproven and unheard of before? For most people, they actually thought it was just replacing bad with bad. Surely putting a rookie in the car is just going to lead to more accidents, which is what James Vowles wanted to avoid. It's going to cost them more money to repair the car every weekend. They're not going to score any points because, I mean, what rookie comes into F1 on the pace?
Now, have you got any points? Yes, I have.
But no, as usual, us, the F1 fanbase, were completely wrong about Franco Colapinto. This was actually the exact guy Williams needed all along. Someone who was finally able to come in, be on the pace, get to grips with the car, and start scoring them those crucial points they've actually been lacking this year.
Now, have you got any points? No.
Also, it is just absolutely hilarious that every time Colapinto does pretty much anything, there is now a sea of Argentinians in the comments section of pretty much every piece of F1 media just typing out "Vamos, Colapinto," because he's from one of those countries that is so patriotic, especially when it comes to sports and their sports people, that's just pushed so much energy and hype into Formula 1 that we've honestly been lacking from a South American fan base for quite a while now. When James Vowles signed Colapinto, I think he was just mostly hoping for a safe pair of hands, maybe a bit of confidence and someone to back Albon up. What he probably didn't expect was for Colapinto to be a shining star. It's evident that Colapinto has been working under Alonso's management, because he must have taken a few tips from the Spanish driver. Not only is he aggressive, he's somehow managed to have absolutely blistering starts like Singapore. He's just great fun to watch race. He actually has some defending skills, which he used against Perez in Kota and Hamilton in Baku, where he beat out Hamilton on track in a Williams when Hamilton is in a top 4 car. But he's also been putting Albon under pressure. I mean, you've got to think about it. Alex Albon hasn't exactly had the greatest teammates recently. Since joining F1 after being kicked out of Red Bull, he's been put up against Latifi and Logan Sargent, 2, let's be honest, pretty much pay drivers who haven't exactly been up to standard or up to pace.
Okay, good work. Great pass.
So Albon's been getting a bit of an easy ride the past few years. And now it looks like he's got a teammate who's actually on his pace and maybe even slightly better. Already, Colapinto has been able to outperform Alex Albon a couple times, enough to raise heads at least, because Williams might have created a problem for themselves with this signing. What we're maybe seeing now is that Alex Albon isn't quite the great driver we all thought he was 1 or 2 years ago. Maybe his teammates who've been giving him a bit of an easy ride has increased our opinion of him a little bit too much. And I remember people saying this, people going, look, Alex Albon looks like he's doing great now, but let's see what happens when he gets put against a real teammate again. And at first I dismissed it, thinking surely Latifi and Sargent can't be that bad in comparison. But now I'm starting to question whether my opinion was wrong at that time. And with Colapinto looking ever more promising, you start to think, is Alex Albon's seat even going to be safe after 2025?
Oh no!
I mean, depending on how well he can hold up against Sainz, and I think most people are expecting Sainz to do better, would that lead to Williams having to get Colapinto in somewhere? And they really are under a bit of pressure to get Colapinto an F1 seat. This is part of this problem they've created for themselves. If they don't get Colapinto an F1 seat, he's bound to be a hot topic now amongst other F1 teams. I mean, sure, at the moment he's signed under Williams Driver Academy, but if they hold off on giving him a seat for too long, who's going to want to poach a rookie driver with such potential and is clearly a safe pair of hands capable of scoring points? It's going to be appealing for a lot of teams. So there's that added pressure now that Williams need to do something with Colapinto. No driver wants the treatment Lawson was given this year, where they're just sat on the sidelines waiting for a seat. And Alpine's inaction with Piastri was what caused him to actually end up moving to McLaren instead of racing for them. Williams can't really afford to lose Colapinto like that. If you think, though, that Colapinto is one of the most exciting drivers on the grid at the moment, please hit the subscribe button and tell me what you think. Do you think he should be in F1 for next year? Or do you think Williams are going to make the right choice with Sainz and Albon? Goodbye!